Hello, you're listening to Hibs Talk. I'm your host always, Gav. Joining me today is Dave.
Alright.
How you doing?
Next question.
Aye. I think it's fair to say a lot of Hibs fans have probably not the best day of the day. Especially if you work with Hearts fans like I know you do.
Yes, I've seen a couple of Hearts fans today. I had my workplace decorated for me coming in this morning.
Right, do tell.
It's pathetic, but I suppose it's all part of the banter. So I had a picture of Hecky just come in the door.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, very good. And I kind of thought, what's normally the case is when this happens, it's almost like a Hansel and Gretel, like the breadcrumbs. Basically, everything that I need today, I've got a routine in the morning. I get into work, I make a cup of coffee. Right, it's the first thing I do. Doesn't matter. The roof could be falling down again, and I make a cup of coffee. So, in true fashion, everything was all laid out leading up to that coffee. So, I walked into the staff area, and there was a photo of Levine on my locker. A big smug grin on his face, and then inside the cup they had, my manager Paul had put a picture of Heckingbottom at the wheel, which he actually got off of Google, and it's one of our episode titles. The one that we made when he was doing amazing, and it was like, how good does it feel with Hecky at the wheel?
Yeah.
Yep, so that wee cartoon you made up. And then I was like, right, okay, so first job of a conference call and that, went to pick up the phone. He's put blue tacked the photos to the back of the phone. Again, just all Levine and that. But it's fine, he's fell for it. Mm-hmm. He's brainwashed. He's now in Levine camp.
Stuck with Levine for a while.
Aye.
And by the silence from Hibs, it looks like we'll be stuck with Hecky for a while. So, but anyway, we're going to get onto that and talk to some Hibs fans. Doing a phone-in this week because I think people want to vent their frustration, so we want to kind of give some people a platform to do that. So we're going to chat to Liam and go from there. So let's first off hear from Liam. So we're joined on the phone now by Liam. How you doing the day, Liam?
I've had better Mondays, that's for sure. No great. To add insult to injury, I've got a Thomas Cook holiday booked next month as well, so it's not been the greatest of Mondays, shall we say.
That's a Syrian, mate.
Looking at the start of the game, the team lineup comes out and Rocky's been dropped and Maxwell's starting. How did you feel when you seen the team lineup?
It was a bit of a head scratcher to say the least. I don't think Marciano's done anything that's worthy of him being dropped. Thought there was a few strange decisions in amongst that, but that was obviously the main one that was pretty disappointing. Was quite surprised to see Middleton not starting as well. I thought he was probably worthy of a start, and I think he did prove in the short time he had when he came on that he offered us a bit of something different, another threat in the wide areas. But the Marciano one, although I thought Maxwell did well sending the balls into the box, he did command his area pretty well. Having seen that first goal back now, I think there's got to be some questions about his goalkeeping for that first goal, certainly.
And do you think Rocky could have done better with the 2 goals?
Well, I think the second one's unstoppable. I don't think any keeper's saving that given the deflection it's taken. But I think the first one, I would I'm not saying I'd put my house on it, but I'd back Marciano to save that 9 times out of 10.
Mm-hmm. And so how are you feeling about things just in general now with Hibs and with Heckingbottom?
I think I'm probably in the camp of 99% of fans that I think now it's time for him to go. I don't see, even if we were to put a run of results together, which looks very unlikely, I don't see there being any way back for him, because I think the next sign of trouble, even if we were to put a decent run of results together, the fans would be calling for him to go again. So I think there's an inevitability about him going between now and Christmas. It's hopefully sooner rather than later. I think it's the writing's very much on the wall. And I think if I'm being honest, I think the warning signs have been there really since day one, but particularly since that Stirling Albion game. I went to Stirling Albion away in pre-season, and that was dire. And I think some of his decisions throughout pre-season to chop and change and not stick with a settled team, we're now starting to see the kind of the effects of that, because there's a number of players out there yesterday who looked like strangers to one another. They really did. So I think I'm not going to be controversial. I'm probably going to side with the vast majority of fans and say that I want him to go and I want him to go now.
Do you think he will go now though? Because I'm not entirely sure that he will.
So looking at the fixtures, Dave, I think given that Kilmarnock's on Wednesday, I think he gets that game definitely. I think he probably gets Celtic as well. I think they might even keep him on for the Aberdeen game, and then the fixtures do improve slightly. Well, I mean, hard not to improve from those games because they're two really tough games, but the fixtures do improve from there on in, and I think that would give, similar to, you think back to Heckenbottom's start, he had a really fortunate run of fixtures when he came in. They're all very winnable games, and we went to I know, Dave, you said a few times on the podcast that his record against top 6 teams was abysmal last season. Another manager coming in, playing mainly bottom 6 sides for a run, it would give them a real opportunity to start to turn things around, I think. So, if I'm honest, I think he probably still has another couple of weeks. I don't think they'll make any knee-jerk decisions, but if it was me, I would have given him his jotters this morning.
I think after the Aberdeen game, there's a week international break or a week break of some sort. It's tough to see which way the board will go, whether they'll go, even if we lose all those games, will they go, well, he's got a good run of games to turn it around, so we'll give him these run of games and the week with the players, or will they go, this is a good opportunity for a new manager to come in. It'll be interesting to see what kind of happens in the next few weeks, but worrying times ahead indeed.
He did say after the game yesterday, he was talking about the Kilmarnock game, the Aberdeen game, the Celtic game. He's like, oh, those are 3 teams that finished above us and that, and he was almost like playing down our expectations as if we had any expectations anyway. But do you know what I mean? And that to me is worrying. Like, he's not. So he's saying he can see where he can turn this around. He's like, I'm confident I can turn this around. But then he's talking quite negatively about the next 3 games. As if to go, well, I did say, let's just say after the 3 games we get nothing, that he can go, well, their team's finished above us last year.
Liam, what have you made of Heckenbottom's sort of mentality and things like that? I mean, he spoke about St Johnstone at home being a good draw, and we're going to have draws like that this season, and, you compare that. I mean, I've kind of compared that to Lennon on the podcast before, who was a winner, full stop. He wanted to beat everybody. He wanted to beat Rangers at Ibrox. He didn't care who he was facing. He wanted to win. How have you felt Heckenbottom's attitudes kind of impacted how Hibs fans view him?
I think his attitude has been certainly this season's been deplorable on more than one occasion. The post-match comments after the St Johnstone game, I know they've been well covered, but they were unforgivable, in my opinion. I would question whether or not he did his research before coming up here, because I honestly don't think he understands where we fit in amongst the rest of the Scottish clubs. Like, we expect to be at the very worst 5th in that league table, at the very worst, and at best probably 3rd. And I think he thinks we're a mid-table club by some of his comments. I mean, I just don't think you can ever deem. It wasn't just the scoreline against St Johnstone, the manner in which we drew with them that was most disappointing.
I mean, that's a few instances now where we've taken the lead and we've thrown it away. Took the lead against Hearts, took the lead against St Johnstone. It seems to be trying to see out results and not against teams that aren't playing that well, and it's not working.
So I mean, we drew against St Johnstone. They're bottom of the league. They're now. That's them cemented bottom, and then we just got beat off the bottom of the league when that game kicked off yesterday. So. And the both home games, we struggled to beat St Mirren, and then we've been horsed the rest.
2 wins in 12. He's now got.
That's embarrassing.
I mean, the St Mirren game, we were pretty fortunate to win that. The boy Durmus, the winger, had a couple of chances for St Mirren that on another day I think he could have put away, and that game would have been very, very different. In which case he'd be sitting there without a win this season. He's fallen way short of expectations this season. And I just really hope that his board have got the bravery to act now. Because if I look at it and I think about some of Ron Gordon's comments, he was talking about giving himself a few months to come up with a plan. I hope he's not waiting for this plan to be finalised before making a decision on the first team coach, because by that point it might be too late.
How are you worried? Are you worried about the rest of the season then?
Yeah, I'm extremely worried about the rest of the season. I'm not got a huge amount of confidence in the playing squad. I think we've bought on the whole poorly. I think there's one or two players in there who I think could do a turn for us. I know that some of the fans have been quite quick to jump on the back of Josh Vela, but I think there is somewhere within there is a player. I think he did some good bits yesterday. I think Hallberg potentially could be a decent signing. I think you need to cut the guy some slack, given he's not played any competitive football for such a long time. He's come into side. I think he's looked decent, albeit he really should have scored that chance to make it 2-0 yesterday. I think 9 times out of 10 he sticks that away. But I think the playing squad, there's a lot of guys there. Joe Neal's not going to cut it at Hibs. Christian Doidge, I think it's very unlikely he's going to cut it. And then all the other guys that are kind of sitting on the bench. Tom James, who was this kind of highly rated right back, was sitting on the bench yesterday. Well, he played the fourth choice right back in Naismith. It was just baffling.
So, see, just on that, like when you see, I didn't want to slate Leanne Dempster, right? Because she's done brilliant, changed the club around, made it completely unrecognisable, opened it up to the fans, right? Has changed a fair bit in the last year, but she came out a couple of weeks ago and did a video on Hibs TV and said that we had a really good window, a really strong window. Do you honestly think she believes that? Or is she just trying to basically convince us? Because that video was a bit bizarre to start with, but like, what do you think, Liam?
It's interesting. I mean, I don't think player identification and recruitment is necessarily her strong point. I don't think it. I think broadly it probably sits within her remit, because some of those people like George Craig and Graham Matthew, I think, will ultimately be reportable to her. But I don't think that is her strong suit, shall we say. I think her strong suit is the things that you've just mentioned about, bringing the club back to the fans, making it more open, transparent organisation. I think you're right. She has improved that considerably in the sort of 4 or 5 years she's been here. So if I'm being frank, I would want to keep Leanne Dempster around, but I would have serious questions for her if she's not looking at George Craig and Graham Matthew and their positions within recruitment to say, really, guys, there's a strong window, because I don't think there's many of those players that we've signed this summer who'll be there beyond this season.
Yeah, you've got to be held accountable at the end of the day. Like, we're all held accountable for our jobs. You get some stuff right. Graham Maffey, George Craig have done brilliant with some player recruitments. But like, while I didn't want to just stick the boot into them, they need to put their hand up and be like, right, we've kind of mocked up here on quite a few. And I don't think the club can say they've had a strong window with them all sitting on the bench. That's lying to the fans. That's what I think. They're just trying to convince us, and I'm just not having it. Like, we might not all be experts in football, but it tells your story yourself when you've got the likes of what they were saying on Sky and that after the game yesterday. Like, they were absolutely slating Hibs in the recruitment. That's not just the fans. It's now moved on to people that have played the game and talk about the game. And Dempster was getting stick as well, and rightly so, to be fair. They all need it.
Yeah. Just to finish up then, Liam, what's your kind of thoughts ahead of Kilmarnock? How are you feeling for that game?
Unsurprisingly, not great. I fully expect us to go to Kilmarnock and get knocked out of the cup on Wednesday. I don't think it'll be pretty either. But I think, having said that, they're there to be got as well. I don't think they're in any great shakes this season. They're not the same side they were under Steve Clarke. So we shouldn't go there and fear them. But I think ultimately, I just don't think we've got it in us to turn it around. And I think we'll get dumped out of the cup on Wednesday.
Well, I have to say I feel the same way. I want to kind of disagree with you, but yeah, it's hard to see how things will be different on Wednesday night. But fingers crossed things do turn around. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak to us on the phone, Liam, and I vent your frustrations.
Nice one, lads. Cheers.
Cheers, Liam.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
So next to join us on the line is Stuart. How you doing, Stuart?
Hi Gav, very well, thanks. How is yourself, mate?
Yeah, all things considered, doing alright, yeah.
I've always wanted to say this, long time listener, first time caller, so thanks very much for having me on.
I've always wanted to say that on the radio as well, but I've never had the guts to phone into stuff. Like, I always listened to the football phone in when I was younger, when it was on Real Radio, and then the Scottish one, the English one as well, with Robbie Savage and stuff. Always tempted to phone in, but never did. But yeah. Anyway, so a couple of questions for you to start off. Starting with Stevie Mallan, Mallan's been criticised a bit in recent weeks, and ourselves included, and he was moved out to the right wing for this game. I mean, he played there once last season, one of Hecky's first games. I think it might actually been his first game. But how do you feel he done in the right, other than the goal? How did you rate his performance?
You know what, yesterday I was quite impressed with Mallan. Seemed to be a lot hungrier, moving forward, good shot blocked in the first half. For me, when we lost it was when we seemed to take Hallberg off. I sit quite close to the tunnel, and Hallberg seemed to gesture towards his thigh. Don't know if there was maybe a knock or a pull or something like that. After that, Mallan dropped back with Vela, and that was it. We totally lost him. For me, I felt he was a lot better pushing forward. Obviously, fantastic touch for the goal. What was he, 35 yards out for it? Mm-hmm. Absolutely fantastic. But once again, players you would almost see getting played out of position. Hecky probably knows Mallan a lot better than most of us do, having taken him to Barnsley. Still doesn't seem to know how to best utilise him.
That was going to be one of my next questions. Why did Mallan get moved back to the middle? But I guess you can answer that if he was pointing at his thigh. Yeah. So you weren't impressed when he did go back to the middle? Didn't you feel he was having as much of an impact?
No, nowhere near. In the first half, for me, it really did feel as though our midfield three were actually doing quite well against a strong midfield 4 or 5 for Hearts. But then we kind of lost out. Now, Hecky, we're looking at here, is getting tactically outdone by the football genius that is Craig Levine. And there's still people out there on the forums that seem to be saying, oh no, we need to give Hecky a chance, we'll give him till Christmas. The board have backed him, they need to be seen to supporting him. But this has gone too far. Just read something online there the now. Our statistics in the last 10 games, 1 win, 2 draws, 7 losses. Now, that's relegation form by any club standards.
Yeah, really is. I mean, we were just talking to Liam how it's 2 wins in 12. I think that before, other than in the league, other than the St Mirren game, the last win was the win at Tynecastle, which seems like forever ago now.
Yeah, it really does. And the other thing that kind of annoyed me is that it was got a fantastic goal. The crowd, honestly, I've not heard noise like that at Easter Road. Probably kind of up there with the game we played against Athens all those years ago. It was just absolutely fantastic. We had a great chance to push forward. Not been able to watch the highlights again due to working today. Hallberg maybe should have scored from the shot that dropped him from about 10 yards out. Could we have had a penalty as well? I don't know. But they started to come into the game. We started playing to their tempo, and that was it. We just totally lost it. We sat back, and genuinely, I love listening to you guys on the podcast. We were all singing Hecky's praises right at the start for him being able to sit back, watch the game, observe it, make the tactical changes, make the substitutions, and to be able to turn a game around. How many did he do of those when we went on our 8-game not winning run, but no losses in 8 to 10 games at the end of last season? And we were praising him for, look, he's making the changes, he's making a difference, this is fantastic. When was the last time we saw anything like that?
I know, if anything, that change we made yesterday almost reverted us back to our weakest. Like, because we can't defend. The midfield, we started to lose the midfield when it was 1 each. And obviously you said Hallberg was injured. I was a bit confused. I was hoping he wasn't just like burst, because at the end of the day, like, I know he's not had that much game time in that, but a professional football player should be able to last if he's required to last, especially in like a derby match. I would want dig in, keep going, because he was, like you're saying, he was doing alright. And then putting Mallan back in the middle, it's like he's been watching any games this season. Like, it's absolutely bizarre. Like you're saying. And why do you think that when we do take a lead, it's like boxing? Like, see a boxer, like, see you get somebody on the ropes and that, they just keep going. Imagine a boxer just stood off and like let them catch their breath and that, and then your corner would have gone mental at you, and that's we are that corner. We're the fans. At the end of the day, we want to keep going and hammer them, but we don't. We sit off and hope that we've done enough.
So why do you think we're trying to see out 1-0 leads? I think Dave's question.
I'm just getting annoyed. I'm just going on a wee rant.
no, you're absolutely right though, and I think the boxing analogy is absolutely perfect. We definitely had a chance to push on. Their fans were instantly on Craig Levine's back. We were right up for it. We were all starting to sing for our team, sing against their team. Brilliant. And they almost kind of seem to say, look, jobs are good and we're done. We've had that derby winning moment. Not quite how it works. For some reason, Hearts have always been more up for derbies than we have, certainly in my lifetime of supporting Hibs. Say what you want about Levine, he knows how to motivate a team for a derby. They have been absolutely terrible all year. They have been worse than us. That's their first wins, since March?
Yeah, March, yeah.
And look at us. Now we're sitting here scratching our heads, trying to, again, figure out how they've got the better of us once again.
Yeah, even if we'd managed to hold on for the draw yesterday, that would have been their worst run in their history. The longest. So it was their joint worst yesterday, but it would have been cemented. And so obviously, naturally, all they need to do to create... to break a losing run is come to Easter Road. It's annoying that it's that simple, and the Levine stat where you just got picked up on and it got put out and shared about yesterday is 60 derbies player manager, he's only lost 9 or not won 9.
No,
51 undefeated. 51 undefeated out of 60 as a player and manager.
We're not allowed to say that number on the podcast, surely.
I know, well, that's what I mean. It's just another unfortunate thing, and I hate him. I think the guy's an absolute bellend, but he hates us.
Aye.
He and that's what we miss. Does Heckingbottom hate Hearts? Of course he doesn't.
It's strange though, because we complimented Heckingbottom for not being so wrapped up in the emotions of the derby that he was able to take himself out of it and approach it more tactically, and that when he made the changes at Tynecastle and we came back and won it. But those, like we're saying, that seems like ages ago now. And you mentioned Mallan having a shot cleared off the line. It was defender that cleared that. Other than that, the goalkeeper didn't make a save until Hearts were 2-1 up. Why are we not creating clear-cut chances to score goals?
Well, how many times were you watching the game yesterday, and you saw Kambari way out on the wing? Who was going to be there in the middle to try and take that shot? We have also guys, I want to give the new guys a chance. Vela, wandering around the midfield, no pace, no interest whatsoever. Where are the young boys? You're not telling me that we'd be better with Fraser Murray in that midfield instead of him. At least he understands the club, moves forward. One of the rare little kind of highlights of yesterday was getting Porteous back, and it was great to see him. He knows what it's like to play for this club. We've kind of lost that, and you can put that down to a bit of injury as well. Someone like David Gray not being on the pitch, someone like Darren McGregor also not there. But where's the influence that these guys are having on the new guys? There was something else that I read online saying that in preparation for derbies, Hearts watch games of their victories over us to kind of get themselves motivated, get themselves up. Have we ever done that? Why are we such a soft touch in a derby? And I definitely respect what you're saying there, Gav, about tactically looking at it. It's just another game. It's just another 3 points. But it's not. We all know that. Ask any supporter, what game do you want to win in the season? And it's your derbies. Any day of the week.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I mean, there's that thing, I can't remember who said it, but it was like somebody, when they came to Hibs, had said, it was Nick Colgan, I'm sure, said when he signed for Hibs, folk came up to him was, beat Hearts and, we'll let you off with other stuff, I'm getting the phrase wrong, but I'm paraphrasing. But yeah, pretty much how important Edinburgh derbies are to Hibs fans. And yeah, the likes of Vela and that really didn't seem to take it that seriously. And he's been criticised a lot for the second goal. How do you feel he done with the second goal? Kind of walking back and stuff and giving a lot of space.
You know what? I think it's just come back to Higginbottom's tactics. He's used to a slower pace in the English game. Whereas, once again, you've got Hearts are trying to run through a brick wall instead of getting back. Like our first goal conceded was caused because a very quick, very well taken free kick. All right, resulted in the corner, but all of a sudden they're in a much further and dangerous position. The guy, was he the replacement for Ojo that ended up at Aberdeen? That's been debated on the podcast as well. But he just doesn't seem to be getting that, and I'd probably yesterday much rather have had Middleton in the game. He came on and did a heck of a lot more than Vela did in the last kind of 15 minutes that he got.
Vela did he chucked a leg at it, and obviously that was the deflection it took.
Yeah,
he didn't. He could have through.
I'm always going to feel sorry for a defender that puts a leg out, and you know what? It loops over. I think McGregor had a bit of a bad run of that at one point a couple of years ago. But you're always going to want a guy to put a foot in, something like that, to try and stop it.
It's just whether you. I suppose everybody looks at everyone negatively now. Like if I had hit off Vela and went out for a throw in with him, like good block, but just because it flicked off him, you're kind of like, was it quite a weak leg?
But you watch him beforehand. He's walking back before
he's walking back. Everybody's walking,
and then he's closing. He takes a long time to close down.
Yeah.
If he'd closed that down properly, he would have got a proper leg to it, and it would have gone out for a throw, like you said.
It's much more Naismith's fault that goal than it is Vela's. Naismith just stands and watches Big Uchi do what he wants. I mean, I've seen a couple of the worst step overs I've ever seen in my entire life. Right in because that's directly in front of us. And it almost like, see when he done it, he had a bit of swagger about him, and then he was like, I'm taking the piss out of you here. Hearts fans were loving it and that, and he had a bit of swagger about him, and then he just slips the ball inside, and then we all know what happened next, and it was horrendous to see, but we just sat off him. And then just another quick point, I'm ranting, another quick point on setting off is we had a high press like 2 or 3 times, and it worked. This mythical high press came out for the first time, and then it was working, and then what did we do? Set off.
Aye.
It's like, well, we also did it in the first half of the Kilmarnock game. My dad was away on holiday, so wrote my quick email to say, you'll not believe this, we're actually pushing up high, we're pressing them for the ball, we're actually winning second balls in midfield. This is starting to look a lot better. But again, second half started, lost a goal, and that was it.
Yeah,
we're done. It was the days of Jim Duffy losing a goal, and then it's like, oh well, that's us. We're not getting anything from today.
Yeah, like I say, it's just very short-lived, that high press, and there was a couple of times it worked. You know, Allen, I think, kind of high pressing, and they got forced into a pass quickly, and it came to Vela, and it's like, here, that's
Did you see the energy that put in the stands though? Everybody was like up on their feet, clapping and that, but like that's what we want, and then it just doesn't. It doesn't. Nothing materialises for it. It's no consistent. It's the weirdest thing, and it's all down to bad coaching.
But I've heard that they do the high press a lot in training. It's one of the main things they do in training, apparently.
That'll be why Horgan's always burst.
But you know, I'm glad you mentioned crowd reception there, because the reception at the end of the game was nowhere near as bad as what I thought it was going to be, and that is almost as worrying. The complacency is slipping back into the supports. The good work of Stubbs and Lennon is probably being undone. For me, the board genuinely have to act before we totally lose all this feeling. Now, I'm up in Edinburgh right now, and I'm sitting there thinking, can I be bothered going to Kilmarnock on Wednesday night? I could go. My diary's available for it, but I'm thinking, I'll just find out what happens. I shouldn't be thinking that way. I should be thinking, Hibs are playing, I'm going to this game.
Mm-hmm. I think at the end, for me anyway, like I wasn't booing or anything at the end of the game, because I was numb. I couldn't believe what I just saw. Like, we were 1-0 up, and part of me expected Hibs to do what they done, but at the same time, the fact that it actually happened, I was just numb. I was in disbelief. I didn't have. I mean, I remember like just sitting there, and you were like, "Come on, we've got to go," and I just couldn't believe what just happened.
You were sitting watching Levine walk out, and that fickle Hearts support all clap Levine, who just 40 minutes previous were singing "You're getting sacked in the morning." By the way,
you've talked about the atmosphere there. I mean, it's probably a good time to bring up this question. What's your kind of thoughts? Have you ever experienced something like that where both sets of fans have been singing "Sacked in the Morning" and the opposition have joined in? But both it happened to both managers throughout the match.
Yeah, I certainly remember it. Probably well flashing back during the days of the Aberdeen manager Ed Scodell. The Aberdeen support were absolutely disgusted by him. He went on another kind of 12-13 game losing streak where the fans were desperate to get rid of him, so they were kind of joining in on that side of things. But to see it flip from one manager to the other manager, that is definitely a unique thing.
Yeah, never seen that before. And then finally, you mentioned Wednesday night there. What does Hecky need to change for Wednesday night, just to finish up?
Well, what did he change from Kilmarnock, apart from the goalie, which I know we didn't really touch on? And you know what, I'm gonna say my piece on Maxwell there. He came out and gathered well from the corners, quite commanding in the air. Potentially a bit of criticism on his positioning for the first goal, but his distribution seems marginally better than Marciano's. for there. But what else did he change there? I'm not hopeful for Wednesday. Whether I'm going or not, probably a lot of Hibs fans are thinking this way. But we are still only one game away from a semi-final, where we could potentially be going off to Hampden.
Which is nuts, which seems just a weird thing, the League Cup being so early in the season.
The bizarre thing is imagine us playing Celtic or Rangers at Hampden. I know exactly. Do I want to get to Hampden? Like, oh no.
You want to get to Hampden.
Obviously you want to, but I see. Just lastly, mate, has anybody ever told you sound like Ian Crocker?
No, I've never heard that, but there we go.
You do. So you can see before you go. Can you just do as a wee Henderson to deliver?
What a moment this is! It's Liam Henderson to deliver.
Brilliant.
That's brilliant.
New ringtone. Mate, you do, honestly.
Thank you very much for that, Stuart. Appreciate you taking the time to come on the pod.
Thanks for your time, guys. I appreciate it. No, I genuinely enjoy the podcast and keep putting them out there for us. Cheers.
Brilliant. Cheers,
Stuart. Mate.
Okay, so joining us on the phone now is Tam. How you doing, Tam?
Not too bad, Gav. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, all things considered, yeah. So just starting off the performance yesterday, what was your kind of thoughts on the first half in general?
Dire.
Aye.
Dire. You can't say any more about it. It's just there's no passion shown. One man shows passion, and he's the youngest man in the team. That says it all, as far as I'm concerned, about yesterday's first half performance.
Ryan, I did really show a lot of passion. It kind of makes you wonder why there's no more youngsters getting put in when they're doing such good jobs in development games and stuff.
Well, this is it. He's put them all out on loan. This is what I don't understand. The first thing that's really annoyed me is that they've done away with the reserve league to play in some stupid tournament, which we're being told most of the games are being played behind closed doors. So, like last year, I think I missed 2 development games home and away all season. This year, I've just no bother. It's
a strange decision to get rid of the development league. I mean, I'm sure you were working together when Hecky gave the reasons behind it and stuff. But it seemed like a really strange one. And I mean, Craig I don't know if you had the podcast last week. Craig went on a real rant about the youngsters that the likes of Campbell and stuff who were getting opportunities, and Fraser Murray, and they're not getting towards the team. Especially when Heckingbottom came out last season and said that he wasn't going to sign anybody that was going to stop Fraser Murray getting into the team, and now Fraser Murray's not getting a place on the bench.
Well, this is the annoying thing is, you had Fraser Murray and Josh Campbell played nearly all the pre-season, and young Ben Stirling as well played, and they done excellent. You couldn't fault the guys for what they'd put in. All of a sudden, well, the word was that he wanted to put Fraser out on loan as well. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, and Fraser says, no, I want to stay and fight for a first team place. All of a sudden, we've no heard of Fraser.
He's just not been involved at all, in recent weeks.
He wasn't even involved today in the reserve game against Hamilton.
Wow.
Which, by the way, they win 4-0.
And he's looked really impressive in pre-season, and the likes of the Tunnock's TK match against Elgin, he was one of the better performances, and he's been playing more of a central role, and in terms of the high press and stuff that they want to do, he was applying that really well. So it seems strange that he's not getting a look in.
When he plays, it gives Scotty Allen more space, shall we say, to move into. He's doing a lot of the work for Scotty Allen, but where the guys that we've actually signed, I'll never put down a Hibs player that plays in a green shirt, but, and it's a big but, they're not up to Hibs standard. They're nowhere near what we need. Vela, no. The rest, Dodge, you can't say too much about because he gets 5 minutes at the end of every game.
And what's your thoughts on Hecky's maybe starting to think that, the fact that 5 of them have started on the bench yesterday?
Well, that shows you how much faith he's got in his own signings. And that says a lot about a manager when he's had them sitting on the bench all the time. This is where our whole budget has went. Our whole transfer budget is went on these players.
Nah,
And-
you're quite right. Did you see Chris Boyd's comments on Sky Sports? He was talking about that.
I heard these snippets there.
Aye,
He's
'cause
no somebody that I listen to a lot.
I know I don't listen to him either, but for once he was actually speaking sense. Like, we've got a 350 grand striker now. That's a lot of money for Hibs. Like, it's not as if we pay fees for players all the time, and he's getting like 10-15 minutes at the end of the match all the time. And then he was commenting about like all his players been on the bench, and it just, that to him smacks as like just a really bad window in recruitment. And I asked a guy earlier on, what do you make of, like, obviously Dempster saying that this was a really strong window? What do you make of that?
Well, Miss Dempster, I'm coming to the understanding that she wouldn't recognise a football player if he booted her in the arse.
Aye, so one of the guys said that.
As far as I'm concerned, her time's come and gone. She did okay when she arrived, but I don't know if you're like me and you've watched the people she's actually brought into the club. They all seem to be from the West, shall we say, specifically North Lanarkshire, specifically Motherwell.
Yeah, there's been a few, and I think it was Chris Collins today was also kind of saying that in the press that he feels that Leanne has to take responsibility for, one, what happened to Lennon, and two, getting the appointment of Heckenbottom wrong, as he sort of felt.
But the point is, she'll not sack him. She cannot afford anything else bad on her CV after the Lennon stuff, shall we say. It will not look good for her in her next job, saying, oh, well, the managers you got, what happened with them? Have we got to get the truth about Lennon? Or do we have to wait till he writes his memoirs and we'll get it then?
Alright, we're going
I
to
think
wait.
we'll have to wait for that.
Oh, it's the same way we like to say Heckenbottom. I'm now coming to the understanding that he's a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde. Well, like at that Together meeting, couldn't have been nicer to the supporters what he promises and what he said was going to happen, and then I take it behind the scenes he's a completely different man.
Yeah, I said that last week, and I was on that Football Daft podcast, and I said the exact same thing. It's like you believe everything he says. Like, even after that, I'm going to get stick for saying this, but even after yesterday when I was watching his press conference, he looked a defeated man, and he didn't want. Everybody wants him to succeed. Nobody's wanting him to fail. So it's not nice watching it.
This is it. We all want to have a good manager, a manager that will take us another step forward. But it's just not happening. I don't know if it's something to do with his personal life. We're living away from his family and only seeing him once, twice a week, which can affect people. As what I've heard for players and being doing at East Mains and going to the reserve games and that and chatting to a lot of people, he's a very good coach, but when it comes to setting out a team, me looking at it, he's not got a clue.
The fact that the last 3 games he's went for 3 different formations and 3 different teams, he's constantly changing things and can't seem to get. And it was one of the reasons that we done so well last season was, those 10 games. I think Omiyonga was the only player to come into the starting 11 and change it.
Well, this is it. Yesterday, Hearts made 2 changes, and that was a snacker. He didn't know what to do. Didn't know how to combat these changes.
No, he didn't. Yeah, you're right.
He's a lot of people saying a plan A. He's not even got a plan A. He's never made a plan B. And I often wonder if he puts all the names in a hat before the game and then draws them out, and it's the first 11 that come out that he plays. The first 10, because he doesn't put Stevie Mallins in. He's already out.
You spoke there about Leanne and stuff. What will it take for the board to take action, do you think?
Well, yeah, you're hearing. We saw it yesterday. I'm in Edinburgh Street, by the way, and we were looking down at them, the 50 or 60 or so folk that were standing, a wee shout and that, and you think to yourself, you're wasting your time. She, as far as I'm concerned, she's got the money in for the season tickets. She sold the amount of merchandise you need to sell. That's it. So if you didn't turn up, you didn't turn up. She doesn't care. What I'd say is people should turn up, but make their voices heard. Pack the stadium and let them know, especially see Saturday. Every Hibs supporter get down there, take a flag with something written on it. No derogatory stuff that's going to get you in bother, but stuff that the TV cameras will take notice of. You know, and let voice what you're thinking. Just then you sit there quiet with the hands sitting on your hands. That's no good to nobody. Get behind the team, but also let the board know that we're not happy.
Looking at the next few games, I mean, it's Kilmarnock on Wednesday night, and then Celtic, and then Aberdeen, and then we've got the week break. If something was to change, do you think it would be during that week break, or do you think they would go look at the games after that where we've got a decent run? Do you think they'd give it to a new manager? Do you think they'd give those games to Hecky to turn it round?
My honest opinion is, I think he'll be here to the Christmas. I honestly think he'll be here to the Christmas, because there's not one of them down there got a set of Santas that will stand up and give him his books.
It'll probably cost us a bit of money, and that's we all know
this
that.
Is what I never understand, right? In your job, if you're not doing your job right, and you get the sack, do you get paid?
No.
Do you get a severance? No.
No.
So what makes football managers different? See, when a manager comes for a job, like say, we'll take it, Hecky's on his way. The next manager that comes in, if somebody comes for an interview and says, and what about severance pay if I get sacked? Just say, well, there's the door, pal.
Is that not what happened with Appleton? That was quite a lot of the rumour.
That's what's meant to have happened with Appleton, but listen, what goes on down there, it's like a secret service with them.
And that's just what I find a wee bit of shame, that it's becoming much more secretive and much more closed. And after years, it's like you
that was it.
Years, Leanne made it better, and then this is her rough patch in her career, because she done brilliant at Motherwell. Everyone was rosy. Came here, done everything brilliant in that, and everybody has a point in their career where they need to, like, a rough patch. This is her rough patch. So can she come out the other side of this and be like, make everything better again? But for me, she would need to take action now, and everyone.
I really don't think she can. I think, as I say, she's done what she could. She's reached her pinnacle. Now it's time for her to say, right, time to move on. I can't do no more. If they're not getting her the finances and that and whatever, I've got to move on. But it's the same. I was at the meeting with Ron Gordon with the HSC when he had it in Easter Road, and all he was worried about was the fans ponying up. My main concern about him is he got to put money in? He's talking about building a dome down at East Mains. Then get a team on the park first before we get a dome. And then he comes away with, somebody asked him that, he says, but if we can get 2 or 3 players to come through and sell them, that's paying for everything. But we're not seeing the benefit yet. We're not seeing the benefit of these players. We're seeing them when they're young. And then, whoosh, when they do make it big, we didn't get to see them. Unless you go down to England and watch them. But there's something no right. There's something bugs me about it. How with all the offers that had come in seemingly for people from Edinburgh and Scotland want to buy Hibs, and Sir Tom Farmer knocking them back. And then all of a sudden this guy's appeared out of nowhere. He had already been knocked back by Dundee United, supposedly, and the next thing we know, this is the new owners of Hibernian Football Club, which at the meeting, another thing that annoyed me was it's no longer as a football club, it's an organisation, as he put it. But there you go.
I'd have to say I missed that feeling of when he first came in. I remember we done the podcast and we were throwing the Monopoly money about and stuff, and that excitement. I can't believe how quickly that's gone.
No, there's not many other football clubs that get bought over by a billionaire and then have this happen to them.
It's the thing we put a tweet. I can't remember the guy's name. The guy for the terrace put a tweet quite similar to that. I should have screenshotted it or something. But yeah, so just to finish up then, Tam. I mean, obviously Heckingbottom's still going to be in charge for Wednesday night. What does he need to do differently for the game on Wednesday night?
We're a bit late for that because you can't bring the young ones back that are out on loan. Or I'd have had the young ones back. This is what I didn't understand either. We're playing supposedly better teams in the reserve league, which we're not really, because we're still playing your Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen, and Brentford and Huddersfield, who we've already played and beat. So I didn't see that. I don't see the point in that. Bring them, let them play in the reserve league. But they're there as a standby, because Hanlon and Stevenson, that's the worst 2 games in all the years I've watched them playing, was their worst game on Saturday. Louis just didn't look interested. No overlapping, nothing. So, who we got to bring in? Nobody. Mackie's away on loan. Ben Stillin's away on loan. Somebody up front, Josh Gillen's away. Josh Campbell's away. Jamie Gillen's away.
I heard he done really well today, Jamie Gullen.
The lad is dynamite, and when he's come on, he's actually the movement. Him and Flo, I would play him and Flo up front.
Flo needs somebody, doesn't he? He's getting dragged out wide and then dropping deep, and then we've got nobody up top.
Yeah.
And then people are slagging him off, saying that he's useless in that. It's like saying to a joiner, there, I want you to hammer nails into that bit wood, but I'm not going to give you a hammer. Yeah. That's it. He's got to play off somebody.
Yeah.
100%. You've seen it with McClam. Like,
that's it.
And it's like tried and tested, but what do? You change it? Like, I know it's a different manager, but the evidence is there. Like, that it would work. And see, just on that, you're talking about Stevenson and Hanlon. I've seen a few people say this, and I completely agree. But how do you think Hanlon dealt with Big Uche? Because to me, he went out about it all wrong. He went into a physical battle with him rather than standing off him.
See somebody. That's what I've got to say. When McGregor played against him, McGregor stood a yard off him and let him get the ball, and then went in and hit him. Hanlon had his arms wrapped around him and everything. That's playing right into his game. He just leans back.
Yep.
Hanlon's off balance. Game, set and match to the big Egypt.
Yep, no, you're completely right. And then Porteous got him a good to be fair though. That was a good tackle. And then
see with his goal, it should have been a free kick to Hibs, because when you watch it back, he's actually pulled Porteous' shirt right off him.
I've not watched it back.
He's actually pulled Porteous' shirt and put him off balance. But we got beat. Give them their wee, whatever it is, till Christmas or whatever it is we play them again. Give them their wee bit fun in games, because I tell you what, if they keep that clown as manager they've got, all the better for us, because we'll fly past them once we get sorted out.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us on the phone,
Tam. No problem,
Tam.
guys, and good luck with your programme.
Brilliant. Cheers for
Tam.
that. Speak to you later on, Tam.
Can I just say a wee thing before we go?
Yeah, sure.
Young Kevin Dabrowski, the goalkeeper that's over on loan at Cowdenbeath, he's actually fractured his cheekbone, and he'll be out for quite a wee while, they think.
Aye.
Couple of weeks.
That's a shame.
So I'd just like to say, get well soon, Big Kev.
Aye, he's been doing great. Really rave reviews at Cowdenbeath. So
I tell you what, we've no fears with him. When he gets his chance, he will stand up and be county.
Aye.
There's a lot of folks said that. It's like very promising. He's meant to be some character, as you know.
Oh, he's brilliant. There's stories that I could say, but I'm not going to say them.
We'll keep them for another podcast.
Okay, guys.
Brilliant. Cheers for that, Tam.
Thanks very much.
Speak to you later on.
Mate. Thank you.
Bye.
So joining us now is James. How you doing, James?
Not too bad for a Monday.
Aye, not too bad. Aye, I've had better Mondays though, and I know as you'll hear at the start of the podcast, Dave's had better Mondays as well. But yeah, aye. So before the game even kicked off, I was asking Liam about this earlier on. Team sheet comes out and Maxwell's in goals for Rocky. Rocky's been dropped. What was your reaction to Rocky being dropped?
For his shot stopping, I was a bit surprised. I mean, he's not had any problems. He's got a few mistakes, but his shot stopping, unquestionably, is going to carry on from last season, is really good. So when I said he was dropped, I was a bit surprised. But Maxwell's distribution seems to be better. I mean, he can put the ball at feet. He seems to get the ball between the back four, which seems to be the way kind of Hecky's got is playing. So I wasn't too bothered. I was more worried about the central defence got against their centre forward. I can never pronounce it. So seeing Maxwell in goal, I was fairly relaxed with that, so it was okay.
You mentioned that they were just speaking to Tam about that. How do you feel Hanlon and Porteous dealt with Uche?
Porteous, man of the match for me. He was a man. It was just outstanding for such a young kid. He handled it well. He was strong. Went in for every tackle. I mean, for me, it was Porteous almost back to his best. His distribution still needs some work, but he's a kid, so it's like you can cut my wee bit of slack on that. But as I said, for me, he was man of the match, which when it's always a defender's man of the match, it sort of tells you how the game went.
It's mental that Porteous could almost be like, I know captain doesn't actually mean that much anymore, but like he's like almost like a leader in the park and like somebody that other folks should be looking at, and he's the youngest player.
Aye.
Like, what is that all about? That's what we're missing in a derby. We don't have that.
No, if we had something like that in midfield, with that fight, that guile, that determination, that love for Hibs, basically, I think we would have won on Sunday. But the midfield is not balanced, it's not lacklustre. We need another couple of Ryan Porteouses, basically, and that's what I feel.
And you mentioned the midfield there. We went for Vela and Hallberg in the middle and Mallan at right. We'll get back to Mallan in a second, but how did you feel Vela and Hallberg done as a pair?
When I see the team sheet, I was quite relaxed. I said, okay, we're going for a kind of nice, solid kind of two guys going to protect the back four, but they protected nothing for me. I can't really remember them doing anything. I know Vela won the kind of 50-50 against Whelan to set up Mallan, but bar that, they were missing from my opinion. So
yeah,
I think got another chance, but it's just that was a weak point for me after the game in hindsight. But I was relaxed going into the game. I said, okay, we've got that. We've got the three good players in front. Let's see how this goes.
Whelan kind of bossed it, didn't he? Like, yeah, sadly. And then listening to BBC Sports Sound in the car on the way home, like, I've absolutely no idea why I done that to myself. I think I was wanting to hear if Hickenbottom was going to come out and speak so I could punch the radio. But he didn't.
I don't think Stephen would have appreciated you punching his radio.
I was going to say it was in my car, so it would have, his radio would have been getting punched. But what was I going to say? Oh, aye, Marv. Big Marv was on Sports Sound, and
That's right, yeah.
Did you listen to it?
I was listening to it, yeah. I tried to figure out who it was because of the accent. I was like, who the hell is that English accent? I was
Stephen said that. Stephen was like, it sounds like Big Marv. And then a couple of minutes later, whoever hosts it, I can't mind, was like, oh, so Marvin. And we were like, it is Marv. And then I was alright after that because it was kind of slating Hibs. And I was like, who is this bastard? Yeah. And then, but it was because it was Big Marv, you let him off.
But what was he saying?
How much a side swerve did I just go on?
Anyway,
back to it. Come on.
Yeah, I think there's a more come and get me.
He was saying, he was basically saying if Whelan was in that Hibs team, Hibs would have won. And he's completely right. We were just missing that, and it's he couldn't have said it more plainly what you just said. It's like there was almost, I don't want to say a happiness in his voice, but he must feel quite good that he has been dismissed. I would feel that good.
Yep.
See if I left my work and the place fell to bits, I'd be smugly being like,
and it's one of the reasons that Livingston are doing so well this season is his performances.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll hold my hands up. I slated Marv kind of last season. He was done. But now he's not there. It's like, oh, where's the midfield? It's nothing. It's weak. To back Hecky up, it's soft.
Yeah. And it's worrying that Heckenbottom's kind of realised that after the transfer window shut.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just quite disheartening to see. Probably man of the match overall was Whelan, and Hearts player putting that in and that sort of performance in. And when we've lost Milligan and Marv, and there's been a lot of coverage about letting them go and not replacing them, seeing Hearts having somebody put in that performance was quite frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, also having a striker that can boss a defence. I mean, poor Canberra was getting pulled and shoved everywhere, getting nothing. Whereas they've got Ikpeazu up front and he just bossed Hanlon at times. I mean, their equaliser was just painfully slow to go in. I mean, for all the abuse he gets for being a Huddy, his strength and his pace is actually surprising.
He does sort of surprise I think opposition players at times. And Dave was speaking earlier on about his ridiculous step overs that he was doing.
Oh, he can't do a step over, but he just took completely took the
It's more
piss
like
out
the
of
can.
Oh, it was embarrassing, but we let him
We
do
stood
it.
and watched.
We let him do
We
it.
stood and watched.
Yeah.
I know.
And what was your thoughts on the first goal? I mean, Hearts had quite a few corners and they were building up the pressure at 1-1, but the corners weren't working. Maxwell was either collecting them or were clearing them, and then they changed their technique for the corner. Is it fair to say, they played it short and then played it back to the boy and then whipped it in? Fair to say Hibs didn't deal with that change?
It was coming. I mean, I can't remember how many corners they had leading up to it, and we were sleeping at quick corners, quick free kicks. It was 2 or 3 before it even got to that one. I mean, it was just so painful seeing us sitting back and just being bossed by Hearts. It was brutal. And somehow the ball fell to him, and almost had an inevitability it was going to creep in. It was such a dreadful goal to concede, but you can't say it wasn't coming. It deserved it. It was 20 minutes coming as soon as they made the change. And
obviously there's not a lot of pressure now on Heckenbottom. 2 wins in 12, 1 win this season. I think the last 10 games are, somebody was saying it's a 1 win, 2 draws and 7 defeats. What will it take for the board to take action, do you think?
You're a good stat man, that's the problem. When you read it out like that, it's painful reading. Because I always try and be positive. I go to every game hoping we're going to win, even though it's been dreadful this season. What's going to take? Well, the next 2 games I think are dead rubbers. I mean, we've got Celtic at home. If Celtic play even half their capability at the moment, no chance. And Aberdeen are Aberdeen. I just can't stand them at the moment. They just grind out the results really boringly. So we'll get Kilmarnock as well thrown in there. I think at those 3 games, if I've got nothing, he's got to go. I mean, I know people want him out right now. I'm sort of with that, but I'm trying to hang on to the positivity, but I'm not seeing it. And if he does go, I mean, this is one of the questions I had, is if he goes now, that's our funds going for January. Where do the players come from? Because there's got to be a rebuilding job already. Where do the funds come from? Because we've got to pay off a large compensation.
To me, this is just my opinion. I don't want to rule off all the new signings yet. I think that with, I dare say, a better manager, there could be some decent players there. I don't want to rule all them out yet. And a lot of them, because they're on the bench, aren't getting opportunities, like to Doidge and Newell. I think it's crazy that people are writing off Newell when he's only played, like 2 starts out of position, and they were in the cup. He's
and what is? Sorry.
On you go.
What is Newell's position?
According to him, when he was doing a press conference, he said he's more of a central midfielder, which we've got loads of central midfielders now. So I don't know how he's going to get in there. But yeah, he doesn't see himself as a winger, but he can play there. And he says he'll play anywhere. But he feels he doesn't have the pace to beat a man, and that's why he feels a central midfielder.
Yeah, because I saw that it was at Stirling Albion. He couldn't beat fullback. And I said, hang on, he's a winger. He's playing Stirling, first game of the season. Surely he should get by to byline and cross the way Horgan does. But he couldn't even get by the Stirling. This is no disrespect to Stirling, but we should be pace, man for man, faster and everything, being a full-time club. And he couldn't beat his man. I was like, okay, he's not a winger, but that's what he's put down as. But as you said, he's a midfielder. But hundreds of those. So even from then, it was worrying. I mean, Newell, I'm sort of I want rid of. Doidge, he scored a couple of goals. You've got to cut him some slack, and pretty tidy finishes, but he's not doing anything else. It was a nice punch for the equaliser on Sunday, but hey, they can't get that one.
I used to be told he's not a basketball player anymore.
So getting back to James's question there, Dave, if Heckenbottom was to go, would you think there's a rebuilding job in January?
Aye, which is mental. How do you sign 10 players and then, or however many it is, and then need to rebuild in January? That's the most damning thing about the whole thing, and it's Heckenbottom coming out and saying, "Oh, in January we can do it." What are you talking about, mate? Like the window just shut last week, and it's demotivating.
He's not helping himself because he's blaming everybody bar himself. I mean, he's got to take his hands up and say, "Okay, maybe I've not got Scottish football right. It's going to take me time." Be honest, but to turn around and say, "Oh, the fans are giving us a bit of stick. We can't cope." But if you look at the fans there on Sunday, I mean, the famous 5 stand, that tells you everything you need to know about Hibs fans. I mean, the display was awesome, and well, hat off to the guys that arranged that. But how can you then say these are the same fans that are causing us stress and anxiety?
Yeah, and I think sort of one of the things we were talking about earlier on was, Heckingbottom's, you mentioned it there about not taking ownership of stuff. One thing I'm not his biggest fan, but I'll really credit Stephen Gerrard for was after the Old Firm game, he came out and was like, I take my share of the blame in that, I got some things wrong. I think that's really a positive thing for a manager to take ownership of situations like that, and it's something we've not seen yet from Heckingbottom.
I want him to come out and speak to Hibs fans. So use the Hibs TV platform, which I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that if we had beat Hearts, we'd have seen something for Heckingbottom on him. And if I missed something, or has there been anything for Hibs TV?
No, I've seen that.
No,
I've not checked TV
so
for the last years.
If we had won, we would have seen something would have come out. But there's just silence, and it's like that's the thing I've got. I don't want him to fail. Right? I'd love for him to turn it around. And as much as I don't think he will, and I don't think he is the right man for the job, if he is going to have the next few games, then that's up to him to do that. He's got that pressure on himself. But I just don't want the club to make the fans feel stupid, and that's what I think is happening. It's like our opinion doesn't matter. He didn't know anything, and I've already said that tonight. And I feel quite strongly that that's what they're trying to do.
Do you think there's going to be a situation if he does inevitably go that the fans are going to then lose trust in the board, kind of turn around and being like, well, we told you this 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks ago?
Well, everybody's already turning on Leanne, and she's getting called all sorts online. She's getting the blame for giving them the job, which sort of is correct, but she also got the Lennon appointment correct, got us up, she's turned it around from going down, so she's got to take some of the credit. I suppose she may have to take some of the blame as well. Bit harsh, I feel. Rodden's just in the door, he's just bought the club, but again, the silence is deafening from everybody. I mean, Hearts are under a wee bit of pressure last week, and Budge was out giving it, the vote of confidence, and there was jokes around about Levine having a meeting with himself. All those were kicking around, but it was in the press, it was all out there in the public. The fans were kind of talking over it and getting buoyed up over it, whereas we've heard nothing.
Yeah, so do you really feel that we need to hear something soon, either from Hecky or Leanne?
Even if it's just backing, even if it's just something from the power to be saying, yeah, he's fully supportive, we're going to get through this as a club. But it's all, again, one against the other. It's Heckingbottom against the fans. The fans are turning on everybody, and there's nothing, no direction, there's no support, there's no, just kick up the arse, basically.
See, when I hear it in my head though, I'm like, right, I want the club, like, say if the club did come out and done that, we back Heckingbottom and that, like, I'm kind of contradicting myself here, because I can hear it in my head already, everyone messaging, being like, they can't win, can they? When you think about it, football fans, I mean, fickle bunch of people. There'll be nothing more fickle, like, and then we've seen that with the Hearts crowd. They were joining in with the you'll be sacked in the morning, and then 40 minutes later, Levine's there, 4,000 folk clapping him.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't make it up.
Yeah, I was last time I celebrated the goal, slagged off Levine, and then when they were singing Heckingbottom's getting sacked in the morning, I actually applauded, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? It's like,
yeah, I joined in. I was singing
it's just fickle, because exactly 5 minutes earlier, 10 minutes earlier, we're celebrating and winding them right up.
I know.
That's what we love about football. At the same time, as it's probably the most embarrassing sport, because it's a pantomime. Because 1 minute there's a villain, next minute he's a goodie, and you're all lapping it up. We're just passengers, and it's just, we can't do anything about it. We can't change that much. But we go along and hurt ourselves every week, or we enjoy it. It's just, that's why we love the sport.
There's so much passion in it, and that's where I think, I don't like name calling. I don't like seeing folk are like on messaging boards being like, he's a, like, just whatever they're saying, and like it starts to get like a bit personal, and you're like, the boy is just in his job, and
just not very well.
Yeah.
He's just not doing a very good job. But football, it's just such a passionate thing, and that's why I'm glad that we did the podcast last night. Imagine we podcasted last night.
I couldn't have done it.
It's just too raw.
Especially the fact that I had a few pints in me as well.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
I passed out on the sofa, so yeah, that's how many I had. But yeah, just to finish up then, looking at we talked earlier on about the next few games and stuff. there is, so obviously you said about Kilmarnock and Celtic and Aberdeen, and then after that there's a week break. Do you think Hibs will, say if we lose those 3 games, do you think Hibs will get a new manager in for that during that week break, or will they look at the run of fixtures after that, which is like Hamilton and stuff and some bottom 6 teams, I guess, and think, right, that's a good opportunity for Heckenbottom to turn it around? What way can you see the board going if we lose the next 3 games?
I think it depends on the performance. If we put a good shift in against Celtic and do this high press that we've been promised and put some passes together and show a bit of passion, a bit of speed about what we're doing, then I'd be okay with that. We lose to Celtic's dead rubber, go up to Aberdeen again. If we put the effort in and it's a jammy penalty or some shitty decision that they always seem to get, then I might let it go. But if we just do not turn up, get pumped off Celtic, go up to Aberdeen, lose 3-0, we've been crapped down to Kilmarnock in the last couple of games to Motherwell, then the same type of performance as those, then he's got to go. I mean, things have got to be changing. I mean, one of the things I was thinking about, have we got the right structure in place? I mean, we don't have a director of football. We've got Heckenbottom, who's actually only a head coach. We don't have a manager. It's just, it's confusing what's actually going on. Have we made an arse of this and got everything wrong? Does he need some more support? I would just, if we just don't perform the next 2-3 games and we get pumped 3-0, 4-0 every game, I think it's done. If we somehow eke out a draw against Celtic, a great performance, and unlucky in Aberdeen, he might buy himself some more time, but a defeat's a defeat, and it's results-driven business. I think he's going to be very lucky to have his job with the international break.
I think we need more from the players to show that they want to fight and listen to him. Like, so if he's had this problem with the players and the players are not listening, and he's put the onus on the players, he's kind of threw them under a bus a wee bit. A few times, and if they're still not able to turn out a performance for him, then he's not the right man to motivate the players. Cause,
exactly.
So that's what it comes down to for me as well. If there's got to be signs that it can change, like it might not happen straight away, but signs of small bits of improvement. Otherwise,
that's what we're looking for.
He needs to go now. We can't let it drag on to the point where we're actually starting to get seriously worried. Like, because who wants to write a season off 6 games into a season? That's what I feel like doing now. We'll just next season. Why? We've got time to turn it around, but he needs to do that now, Wednesday night.
Well, to me, he needed to do that yesterday.
Well, he did need to do it yesterday, but Gav, he's not got a time machine.
Right, well, we'll see. Right, well, thank you very much for taking the time, James, to chat to us tonight.
Bother. Been a pleasure.
I appreciate that, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, James.
Cheers.
So, finally today, joining us, it's going to be a bit confusing, is Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. It's going to be confusing which Dave I'm going to be talking to.
Just demote me to David.
David. You'll
David,
be David for the next 10,
I'll
15
let him
minutes.
be Dave.
Right, cool. Okay, so what was your kind of overall thoughts on the performance starting off?
Well, I thought, having been through to Kilmarnock, I thought we seemed more motivated than we were, and we were higher up the park for sure in the early part of the game than I feared we were going to be. But again, there's no any belief about us. There's no any winners. There's just nothing about us really. That's the worrying part for me. There's just nothing in that team that can suggest that anybody could turn it. So,
are you? This is a bit of a weird question. Are you jealous of Craig Levein?
Well, I'm jealous of his beard. That's it. But
no, jealous of him, I suppose. Jealous that Hearts have somebody like that in a derby.
Well, I mean, he knows how to play derby matches. I mean, Lennon, when we were flying, went there and we only played one up top, where we should have probably went and destroyed them. But historically, they've just got on us, and that's it. So we've not got anybody walking around the club saying, kind of, we're not getting beaten Sunday, we're not getting beaten Sunday. There's just no that in that team, I don't think.
We've seen a bit of the high press in the first half and seemed a bit promising, but as we were talking about earlier on, it only lasted a few minutes. And again, against Kilmarnock, like obviously you were at the game, there was parts where we saw the high press, but then it didn't happen in the second half. Why are we only seeing small bits of the high press?
I don't know. I really don't think we've got the players to do it. I don't think there's legs in the team, and there's no aggression or fight. I think on Sports Team last night they picked up the Vela's run, marking or to get near to Hecky. They never went and closed them properly. They just run into areas. They didn't go in with any conviction to tackle. And it's the same when we're going forward. One or two will do it, but they'll not do it as a unit. It's just, I'm worried.
It's one of the things that after the Motherwell game we spoke about, the fact that Motherwell done it very well and they pressed in threes, whereas we were just one player closing down at a time, and that's not how you do a high press.
No. Well, I think we're the team now where all the hard-working teams are looking at us and saying, can we just go and play a high line against them, and they'll make mistakes. A goal will come out of nothing. And we've not got pace in the team with Martin being out. We're looking really low in confidence. Everybody that's came in is no good enough. I think Hallberg looks a bit like Vicky, looks a reasonable player, but he's not what we needed. We needed a bit of bite. We needed a tackling midfield or somebody. We needed a leader, and I mean, Paul's fell way short this season. It's just it's worrying. I mean, Hearts have got loads of people to come back. That's the thing. We could be really stranded at the bottom this season.
How frustrating was it? You spoke about that bite in the midfield and stuff. How frustrating was it seeing Hearts have somebody arguably putting a man in the match performance in Glenn Whelan doing exactly that job? Yeah,
well, it's just been that comes back to the arrogance of the man. He's saying his business was done really early, and he had an opportunity to see the team, see the league. I think he's just made a huge mistake, and again, he's not been caught by surprise how physical and demanding the league is. But we've not got pace, we've not got good passers, we've not got fighters, we've not really got an identity in the team, and you'll play the Livingstons and stuff. I think they'll batter us. I'm just really worried about it.
We were speaking earlier on about the lack of chances we were creating. I mean, I think Pereira didn't have to make a save until 2-1, to Hearts, and I mean, there was Mallan's chance was cleared off the line, and obviously there was Mallan's goal. But because lack of creating chances and stuff, do you feel that it 1-0 up, or if it stayed like that, it would have been covering up some of the cracks and some of the problems?
I think definitely, but I thought he maybe should have made a change when we went 1-0 up and kind of not let them get back into the game and catch their breath. I thought it was really, we were slow to react, and they kind of made all the positive changes and went on, and we couldn't get back in the game. It was just really disappointing. But again, not really a surprise, unfortunately, and I think that's the worrying thing, that all the words we're getting from him. He's a great talker, and he's not earned the right to be arrogant with our club, and he's just he's not the boy.
No, I think there's a lot of people starting to kind of feel that way now. One of the things, you spoke about changes there. Mallan, a lot of people online are saying that he had a better performance when he was out right, but he's been criticised the last few weeks, including us, for his performances in the middle. How did you feel? Apparently Hallberg had picked up a knock, and that's why he needed to go off, but even then, how did you feel that we played once Mallan went back to the middle?
Well, again, all the stats have been speaking for themselves over the week. The stats for the Rangers game, I was there, it was unbelievable. And I mean, these guys, these modern managers, surely that's the thing. I mean, what are they seeing in the stats that makes them think that it's working? I think Mallan and Allen in the same team, I don't know. I really don't know, but I think he was better further up the park, that's for sure, and I think he looked interested, but didn't ask him to go and get in a battle with anybody, because he's just not going to do it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, better when he's at the road, when he's just he's out in the right and maybe can bring other folk in, but middle of the park in a derby is not where you want Stevie Mallan.
Nah, you need a warrior in there, but I mean, I don't know really what the changes, what options he's got. I mean, I would have liked to have seen Effie come in and us playing three at the back and maybe getting an extra man in the middle, play two forwards and play Allen behind the two forwards. But what we're doing now is just not working.
I mean, that's worked in the past. Obviously, it was a different team at the time, but that formation worked. We spoke about that quite a lot. That formation really was effective. It got the best out of Flo, it got the best out of Scott Allen, got the best out of Hanlon. I think that's some of the best performances I've seen at Hanlon was when he was the left centre back of a back three, because there was times when the forward would bomb forward, the wing back would bomb forward, and he was quite comfortable stepping over to the side and playing as a makeshift left back for a period and then back to the centre back, and he had some really good performances at left centre back, and I think it's a formation that would get a lot of good out of the team.
My favourite formation we've played is that Boyle right wing back, just Louis left wing back, and that's, I know that can't exactly happen now because we've not got Boyle, but you've got James and Naismith that could possibly play wing backs, and so I think it's, but again, we've played 3 different formations in the last few games. Is he going to play a fourth? Probably not. Is he going to get a chance to play a fourth?
I don't think he's got the personnel to come in this current style of play and change anything. I think it'll just be different faces and jerseys with the same outcome. I think we're needing a radical change. But I mean, I don't know how long he's going to be given, but I've got my doubts it'll be much longer. I mean, well, we all know the games that are coming. And
so do you think we've got what it takes, like our Borden, like Dempster and Ron and that, to get rid of him in the next couple of weeks, or do you think that they'll kind of drag it out a bit?
It's probably come too early for Ron. I mean, I've seen him. He was in the fans bar at Kilmarnock, and he's really interested, and he's asking all the questions. It's too soon for him, and I think we need to be patient and no, like, totally make him regret buying our football club. But I mean, Leanne, she's been around the club long enough, and they seem to have no any problem dealing with Lennon when he was kind of going off piece. So I think it's the axe has got to be swung.
It's an interesting one. I've been asking a lot of people this on the podcast today. That you look at the next few games, we've got Kilmarnock on Wednesday night, then we've got Celtic at home and then Aberdeen away, and then there's a week international break. I think that week international break is going to be really interesting. It might depend on the next 3 results, but there's probably an opportunity for a new manager to come in and have that week with the players before the Hamilton game, and then there's a good run of games. But then there's the counter argument that, well, it's a good run of games and it's a chance for Hecky to turn things round.
I don't know. My personal feeling is like I'm not surprised with where we are. I mean, I've been really, really disappointed in his style of play. I've been disappointed how he talks and no backing it up on the pitch. And these comments, new level of fitness, take them to places they've not been before. We've not seen it. And like you look at Newell and you wonder how he's even getting on the bench. He's just no, he's the team's unrecognisable how we're playing.
What do you think that says about his signings? The fact that 5 of his new signings are on the bench, and it was obviously 6 lakhs last week with Maxwell as well.
Well, I thought there was a great quote. Was it last week? And he says, "Well, you can't blame the players I've signed because they're on the bench. There lies the problem. He spent all the money and they're not good enough to get in the first team. He's just blew the budget on dross."
Why do you think he's not playing them? Do you think just because they're not good enough?
Well, I think he's shifting the heat on them. I mean, Vela looks a tidy wee football player, but he doesn't want to tackle. He doesn't want to run, and they're sort of 2 key components when you're playing in the midfield. So I think he's seen it. I mean, we're seeing it. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, I think there's a clear out needed, and whoever the new manager is, I mean, his hands are going to be pretty tied with this squad until the window opens.
That's what concerns me. How do you make this team of players play better? And I know you said earlier, Gav, that you'd like to see the new players with a different manager, maybe fresh ideas, that maybe get more out of them. But for me, if you've just signed with a football club and if you can't perform straight away, that shows a lot about your character. If you aren't listening to the manager that's in the now, you should be coming in and trying everything you can do. And I know the likes of you, you're lucky if he's had 90 minutes in the league, in total. He's just been bit part, and the Dodge is the exact same. So, and everybody's just getting on their back. But the club can't do anything right now.
And that's the thing. Sometimes you've got to be careful what you wish for. I mean, that's our squad, and we've got to try and pick the bones of a team, and whoever's picking that team. But it's I mean, why are we not kind of playing two up top, and why is Allen being slotted in left, right, and centre? He's not looking particularly happy. I thought he looked really pissed off through Kilmarnock. The body language wasn't good, and there comes a time where you just want to say, well, this guy can't fix it.
You seem to have your mind made up on Hecky, and I'll not ask you for names of replacements and stuff, but do you think that there's going to be a thing, like a lot one of the biggest criticisms has been he doesn't understand Scottish football, he's come up here from England, blah 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 blah. Do you think the next manager kind of has to be somebody that knows Scottish football a lot better?
Well, I would like to think if we do change him, we'd maybe give the new guy until the end of the season to kind of prove his worth before we start handing out contracts. And I think there's probably guys not too far away from our club that could probably do a job, but it's a massive job. I think when the rebuilding the team probably should have happened when McGinn left and there's a bit of money in the club, and that would have been the time to start thinking about it. You look at your fullbacks now, like Louis, as much as we need his tackling in the team, I thought his crossing, well, he's lucky even attempt to cross, he kept checking back. I mean, we've got to have to look at our both fullbacks, and Hanlon's kind of looking great. Darren is probably not going to get back near the team again. David Gray's probably broken down. So I think there's a massive job, whoever it is, and we didn't seem to have piles of youth players banging on the door to come in, and it's I think whoever gets the job's got to have a job.
It was something Mickey Weir had spoke about to the papers the week before he came on and spoke to us a few weeks ago, where he'd said he felt the rebuild of the defence should have started the year before, should have started last season.
Definitely.
Yeah, just that sort of thing of maybe I just don't know if we've been a bit sentimental because they won the cup and because there's such great characters behind the scenes, and it's great that we're keeping them on long term involved in the club one way or another, even after their playing days and stuff, but we've maybe been a bit too sentimental in terms of relying on them as first choice.
But the concerning thing is they're good characters behind the scenes, and that's why they've been given 4-year deals, right? But where are they now? They're behind the scenes, and what's happening? There's no feel good factor. There's nothing happening. Like, we're leaking goals left, right, centre. So are we feeding on their experience now because they're not playing, or are we not using that?
I mean, I understand the criticism of the defence, and you make some great points there about Louis not offering enough going forward and stuff, but my main reason I think we're conceding goals is we're supposed to the lack of protection in front of the defence. You spoke about Vela there being quite soft and stuff, and not really being a tackling player, and not having that sort of energy that you kind of need for somebody to play defensive mid. If there's nobody in front like that in front of the defence, it's going to be a really tricky job for any defence.
Definitely. And again, we've not got any pace, we've not got an out ball, we've not got anybody to go by. I mean, Effie would drop the shoulder, go by somebody and open up the midfield, and we're just across, and the teams are right on top of us. We make a mistake and we're getting punished, and the stats are just, that's what the stats are saying. I think it's worrying. I think it's worrying. And the thing for Hearts, I mean, that headline was already written for him, but they've got a lot of players to come back. They could really kick on. With Levine or no Levine, they could really kick on, but we could be in a real dogfight with teams that are used to fighting and scrambling round about us, and we've not got that in our team.
It's a question for the two of you. You're talking about the style of play and stuff there. Like, there's a lot of defenders we've came up against. There was one, I can't remember the boy's name again, Motherwell, who really wasn't that quick a defender. Berra really doesn't have a lot of pace. Why are we playing everything in front of the defences and never putting balls over the top of a slow defender like Berra for somebody to run onto?
Pass.
That's a good question, but it
seems like Heckenbottom thinks we're too good for that, but we're second bottom in the league.
But we are doing it though, but really poorly, because it seems to be the centre halves that are lumping the ball up. Like, because I don't think.
Yeah, they launch high balls towards it, but
if they're not passing in between each other, it seems to just get aimlessly.
Yeah, it's not.
There's
not behind.
There's no like a Mallan and Allen and all that playing balls over the top. I know what you mean.
We've got players that have got the potential to do that.
Yeah, Karat and I are right. You're right, and we didn't switch it up enough. But that's what makes us predictable and easy to play against.
Yeah, and Canberry's no like a back-to-goal striker where he's going to roll a centre-half or that. He just looks too easily marked. It's not his game. You want somebody to go to the byline and pulling it back for him, but that player's not there at Easter Road, I don't think. Horgan maybe, but no, it's hard to see where you can change that team and find an identity that works with that group of players. Because I don't think there's many winners in there. Certainly none in the new boys, maybe with the exception of Naismith. Hallberg too early to judge, but I think it's not great. I'd be on the phone to Effie the night, 3 at the back, 2 up top, Allen in behind them, and then just move them round about for there and see if that changes things.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of games last season where not last season, but the season before, we were playing 3 at the back. And we're playing Bartley in midfield, and we're like, we shouldn't be playing Bartley because a back 3 and a defensive midfielder that doesn't offer anything in midfield, it was pointless playing him. So really, if we don't have Bartley, we don't have Milligan, surely that's a good formation to go to if it's a formation that you don't need those type of players.
Yep.
I mean, I think comes to the point where we've got to try and win games rather than hoping just to keep ourselves in games, and we're going to kind of be more cavalier. It's just... I just don't see us really having a plan. I think he's lost it. The job's too big for him.
Well, just to finish up, then we've got Kilmarnock on Wednesday night. How are you feeling about that game, and what's your kind of score prediction for the game?
Well, you would like to think you get a reaction, but I think we'll get beat, unfortunately. So I'm going to go through, but I'm hoping we're wrong. But you're just waiting on something clicking and maybe a bit of positivity creeping into the team, and because we do need a bit of positivity, we do need a break. But you just can't. You just don't know where it's going to come from. But I think we'll get beat, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm going, but I'm going. So might see you through there. I suppose. It's hard to get yourself G'd up for it, but I almost feel like we need to. And the fact it's a cup game, it's it might be a wee bit of distraction for us. Like when it comes, in fact, it's early cup final, isn't it? November or something.
Yeah.
But at least it'll be something for to look forward to, even if we get to the semi-final, and maybe a wee bit distraction for the league. So bye.
Yeah, definitely.
And get a pie.
Aye,
Kelly pie and Empire biscuit.
Aye.
Apparently they put the logos and that on them.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I worry, we talk about, like the board and stuff, like I can just hear them now. If we get through that on Wednesday night, I can just hear it's only 6 games into the season and we're in the semi-final of a cup, so things aren't that bad, and it's like, well, no, the performances are horrendous.
Yeah, it's up to them if they want to try and spin it like that though, and that's when it comes down to treating football fans like they're stupid.
Do you I think they'll spin it like that if we're getting the semi-final?
Yeah, of course they will.
Yeah.
But that's when, like I say, the football fans getting treated like they're stupid and they're not.
Do you see them spinning it that way if we were getting the semis?
I don't think they'll get long enough to spin it because we've got Celtic to welcome, and I'm sure Neil Lennon will not have much sympathy for what's going on, and then you're away to Aberdeen, so I think it's in the trenches now, isn't it?
Somebody said that they were like, how the world comes at you fast. Neil Lennon come to Easter Road to put us, cement us to the bottom of the league. Careful what you ask for. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
horrible,
scary.
innit?
Yeah,
horrible.
Aye, because I mean, St Johnstone have got is it Ross County they've got next week?
Can't believe I'm actually worried about St Johnstone.
Oh, and they're at home, whoever they've got. I remember that. It's either St Mirren or Ross County or something. And it's a game I was like, that they could get a point out of that quite easily.
Yep. Oh well, we'll see what happens.
Anyway, well, enjoy the game on Wednesday night, Dave, and thank you very much for coming on.
All right, thank you. Cheers, boys.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Well, that was. I have to say, I'm glad we've done that today. Because I think we need to do something different. Because last week, I mean, I know a lot of it didn't make it. We were done the podcast with Craig and Steve, and then because audio stuff, a lot of it didn't make it. But we're very critical in that episode, and I was worried about just the same voices, just sort of going over stuff again. So I really wanted to give more people the opportunity to kind of come on and vent their frustrations.
Alright, well, that's how you started it to be that, innit?
Yeah.
It's like end of the day, it's a fans podcast. If folk ever want to do like phone-ins and phone-in and that, then that's what it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, folk can always drop us a message if they're interested in coming on. And can always sort of even if it's not just a phone-in, just sort of do, one segment of it and
clips,
have
get your rant
somebody on. Yeah,
it's good to get it off your chest.
Yes,
of course it is.
Aye. I'll be worried where I was if where I'd be without this podcast to vent my frustration.
I'd be in my house, to be fair. And tonight's dinner, just thought I'd tell you.
Okay,
dinner,
right.
so.
This is going to become a segment, isn't it?
What I'm
Dave's
having for dinner? Aye. I'm having pasta with bits of chilli smoked sausage through it, and I feel like a bit 5-year-old again. It's brilliant. I don't think there's garlic bread this week though.
Oh.
I think I'm going to go on a diet. I'm starting to get a wee bit. I would say less carbs, but I'm having pasta, so maybe no less carbs.
Yeah.
But just thinking, just see when we were talking to Dev there at the end, I was thinking about how you would describe our protection of the back four now, and it's like condoms. So we
Right.
got rid of some really good Durex Johnnies, right? And rather than going out and getting other condoms that maybe do an alright job, nah, we went for like just chucking a carrier bag in the top it that's got holes in it, and we're expecting this carrier bag to do the same job. The carrier bag's not going to do the same job. It's going to be a disaster, and you know what I mean.
You're one for your analogies. I'll give you that.
It is true though.
Yeah, it's very true.
So I'm away home.
Moral of the story is we need Johnny's back. We need Durex.
Yes, players with a certified wee kite on the side of them. I think wee kite. That's what you used to get in sex education now. But we've no. We've got Asda carrier bags. Other supermarkets are alright, but I picked Asda because it's green. So
there you go. Well,
anyway.
There's an analogy to end on. I'll let you go and enjoy your pasta with no garlic bread tonight. And then we've got the Killie Pie to look forward to on Wednesday.
Correct.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. And we'll be back on Thursday. We'll do a podcast kind of looking back at the Kilmarnock game and ahead to the Celtic game. Don't know what that's going to be like. But yeah, that'll be interesting. And yeah, thank you very much for listening. If you made it to the end, it's a long podcast, so thank you for making it to the end. Usual stuff. If you've not done so already, subscribe to the podcast. Android users, I know Dave's kind of said about Castbox before, but my favourite podcast app, Pocket Cast, is now free. I love it. If you listen to the podcast, there's loads of other Scottish podcasts and also the other Hibs podcast, long bangers. Feel free if you've got an Android and you want to get a good podcast app and get subscribing to a few podcasts, then that's a good app to get. So and follow us on social media and at HFC Talk and all that sort of stuff. Enjoy your week, and we'll see some of you on Wednesday night.
Catch you later.
Bye.